Well, hello, my cosmic friend. How are you? It's so good to have you back. Welcome back to Walking in Magic. My name is Maria Alejandra. You can call me MA. And in this channel, we are creating new worlds. And that's what I want to talk to you about today is this idea of creating new worlds, specifically the worlds that are within you, the worlds that want to be born from your own specific combination of ingredients of who you are. And it's an idea that I always sit with. It's an idea that I'm always mulling over in some way. And I call this the realm of creatrix consciousness. And creatrix consciousness is a stream of downloads and ideas and information and sort of a framework for how to live, certainly how to create, how to embrace our authenticity, how to navigate the unknown and become more open to the unknown. And it's an idea that started to really weave through my life and come through. It'll be 4 years ago this November. And as we sit in this shifting of seasons, as we're beginning September and we're already getting all the messages around fall and all that, right? We're in a period of transition. And September is a wonderful month to bring some things into fruition that may have been dormant for you. And I'm going to give you a couple of the cosmic ingredients that are helping us to do this. So, first, let's talk about Venus. And if you're on my newsletter, you've heard me talk about Venus. She's been playing such a starring role. And if you want to get on my newsletter, the links will be in the description. I share everything from cosmic insights to poetry, and of course, invitations to the things that I'm up to, workshops and programs and free events and gatherings and all that good stuff. So it's a wonderful way to stay in touch and get a little bit more that I don't always share in the videos. So we've been talking about Venus, and Venus just started moving forward. She was in her retrograde phase for 40 days and 40 nights in the sign of Leo. And within your own life, she's been helping you sit with and recalibrate in certain area of your life, allow you a process of review and renewal. And then what happens is so beautiful with the Venus cycle is she spends 9 months as an evening star and then 9 months as a morning star, so on and so forth, completing this 18-month cycle. And she just began a brand new 18-month cycle in the sign of Leo as she rose as the morning star. And right after that happening, she started moving forward after her retrograde phase. So, this forward momentum is something that we can absolutely co create with because Venus has everything to do with our sense of self worth, our sense of inner peace. And that, of course, brings us to a new level of freedom. Venus is decadent in her creativity and her sensuality and using the senses and embracing all of the earthy elements. And in Leo, she wants to shine and she wants to point you in a new luminous direction of how you get to shine. And how we do this in an embodied and grounded way is the conversation. That's how we co-create. That's how creatrix consciousness comes in. And I was writing to my Patreon group this morning about this thought form that's been coming to life around creatrix consciousness really is this balance between chaos and framework. And stay with me because chaos has everything to do with creation. Creation comes from chaos. Chaos, in essence, is in its origin, right? It's this space of infinite possibility. We've come to associate chaos and use this word in other ways, but really it is this sort of birth point, this this land of everything and anything all at once. So from chaos comes creation. And when we try to control the outcomes of creation, that's when we crimp the energy in some way, the energy that wants to flow through you. And more specifically, if you are somebody who has a deep desire to help in some way, to make the world a better place, to somehow make a difference, there is a very key part of your story on earth at this time that wants to play itself out. And often what we try to do is, because we are looking kind of externally at the models of how we do things, we miss the opportunity to sit with that inherently intuitive and very magical sense of chaos about new creations and what they desire to be, and the fact that they want to be born through us to impact the world in some way. It's like you have this frequency that wants to work its way through you and out into the world to impact your immediate environment and the world at large in some form. And our job in these vessels, in these human, beautiful vessels, is to give life to those ideas, is to breathe life into them through the framework of life. So imagine this sea of ideas, right? This cosmic collection of ideas, and they kind of choose you. Or in the space of sort of liminal listening, you kind of pick out these ideas that want to come through you. And they come equipped with all of the information that you need to bring them to life. And what it takes is for you to actually make a choice to move, to lean into the creation of that idea. And how we do that is through then creating certain frameworks of commitment and consistency and mindset. And those then are the tools that help us take step by step. When we leave ideas in the realm of the what if, it's like this place in the sky, this room. What I'm imagining is this room of like, what if? What if? And some of us have a lot of what if moments, like a lot of ideas. Let me know if that's one of you. If you're one of those in the comments, that's me for sure. What if, what if, what if, what if? When we leave those ideas and sort of potentials and seeds of potential in that realm of what if, without bringing them into form, then that's where they will stay. And you may have had some of these lingering around in this realm of what if for a while. And there's nothing wrong about them being in the realm of what if, because they're swimming in this sort of cosmic goo. It's like this womb of possibility, and they're there. And some of them kind of get closer to you and you can feel it. And then the moment when an idea wants to be born through you, and you begin to feel some sort of the word that's coming up is discontent. Some sort of friction in your life, some sort of discontent, some sort of anger, resentment. Chances are, and life is full of course, many different spectrums of color and things that happen, right? But chances are, I think there's a pretty good chance that if you are somebody who is inherently designed to make the world a better place through your creative ideas that come in many forms, the businesses you create, the books you write, the art you create, the ways you help people, the movements you start, the activism that you seek, the volunteering that you do, the money that you make, the way you impact other people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Chances are that if you're not following through on bringing these, at least one of these thought forms into more of a tangible form, you're crimping that flow of energy. And so that creates tension. It creates a sense of friction, anger, resentment. And I remember so viscerally and so vividly sitting in that space for so long when I was working my corporate job, which I was really good at, but I always felt like there's something more. It doesn't mean go quit your corporate job. In my case, I was let go of my corporate job and it opened up a vast possibility for me to leap into something new. But there have been so many instances where I have felt, and I think back at that anger and resentment, and it was like an anger that I could not quite describe. And it didn't make a lot of sense, except I could feel it. And I believe that that was unexpressed potential, unexpressed authenticity, bottled up magic. And to use my cosmology, I love talking about magic because the idea of bringing magical thoughts and a magical perspective and this walking in magic is something that is so compelling because it is a realm of vast possibilities. So is your magic bottled up? Are your ideas bottled up? Imagine the pressure building in that bottle. Now, what opens the bottle and, if you will, ruptures a membrane. There's a membrane between this thought form idea and it coming into earth. What breaks it is action. You got to push it out. You got to open it up. And that's the part, that's the spot that we feel the most fearful about what will happen next, because there's several things that happen. First, we're kind of caught in all the ideas around perfectionism, judgment, imposter syndrome. Am I not good enough? Is this not going to work? What if I mess up? What if I look stupid? What if I'm judged? All that stuff, which the only way I think to move yourself through all of those yucky ways of like feeling is to be in momentum, to be in the action of creation, to create. That is basically like to create, to do stuff, lots of stuff, to discover your true voice and the truth of what wants to come out. But we end up putting so much pressure on ourselves that the moment of like rupturing the membrane, which in itself has to be chaotic. Let's go back to chaos, because rupturing a membrane, especially when there's a lot that's been kind of caught behind it, or opening a bottle of something bubbly like champagne, it might pop and bubble over and ooze out, and like just sit with that visual and imagine it within yourself, and the inherent fear of, if I allow this membrane to rupture and this bottle to open, what will come out? And that's also a big space of trust in the unknown. There is an inherent fear in letting that run its course. But my friend, you must rupture the membrane. You must, because that is where the decrimping will begin to happen. And the energy of what wants to come through you can find its way to come out. And it might be in like crazy bursts at first. And then that's where you have to like double down on yourself and your sense of commitment and your sense of follow through, so that you can ground into each moment and create a framework for how to let that idea be born, and then step by step steward it and bring it to life and mother it and give it its channel to come out. And again, this is all in this space of creatrix consciousness. And there's a lot of mindset work that we can do around it. And there's a lot of magic that we can do to shift things in very deep and powerful ways. And then there is the absolute momentum that we need to honor to bring these forms to life. I always call it bringing your light to form. It's what a creatrix does. Creatrix is a person that is committed to bringing their light to form. And your light is kind of like that goo of ideas. And there's a balance to all of this, right? There's a lot of experimenting. It's like a big laboratory of life. There's a lot of experimenting. We must experiment, and we must experiment with following through. We must give ourselves the chance to see what this will become. Many of us can be great idea starters, but not idea follow throughers. That used to be me for a long time. And now I can better discern between ideas that are just like experiments bubbling, and I kind of have different, it's literally like a table of experiments. It's like Merlin in his laboratory, but I'm in my alchemical laboratory space. This with this mystical energy and desire to be like, okay, what's bubbling here, what's bubbling there, and then certain things will grab me in a way that I'm like, okay, I'm looking over you, I'm looking at you, and maybe they'll bubble for a while, and there comes a point where I need to bring it front and center and see what other ingredients I need to add. And just like a scientist, just like a chemist, just like this Merlin archetype, which is very Saturnian, and Saturn is in Pisces right now, which to me is Merlin at his best, because Saturn wants to help you bring your dreams to form. Saturn is about form and structure and framework, and Pisces is about the endless dreams. So Saturn moving through Pisces is a profoundly beautiful gift that's happening this year. So it's another cosmic wave that we can ride. So pull together Venus moving forward. Okay, forward momentum. Saturn, he's in Pisces, giving structure to dreams. Okay, great. Framework to the things I've been wanting to do. And all these other hosts of things that are happening in the sky constantly. Which, the more I've woven the cosmos into my creatrix work and the creatrix work that I guide clients through, it is profoundly, insanely beautiful, the things that can happen when you look at those, when you grab that information and you really allow it to become a tool for you and work its way through you. So we have this creatrix in her lab, and you're literally looking at things, and there is one thing, one project, one beaker that wants to come through, and it's like keeps bubbling. And maybe it's the one that you're feel most challenged by. Maybe it's the one that really has been wanting your attention for a while. You have to actually begin to work with it, not just like keep writing about it. I was talking to somebody about this recently, where it's like, well, just like experimenting in a laboratory, a scientist could just look at an empty beaker and imagine all the ways that all these ingredients can come together. And she can make all these observations, or like, oh, what if this and what if that and what if this other thing? Oh, well, okay. But it's still an empty beaker and maybe some ingredients around, but they haven't done anything with it yet. This is the metaphor for your journals that contain all of the wonderful, bright ideas, or your journals and Notion and Trello boards and Pinterest boards and all the spaces that allow for this like big blue sky thinking, which I love all of them. Our calendars and our vision boards and all this stuff, right? This big blue sky, like, oh, what if, yes, how do I bring this in? But there's only so much time that you can look at an empty beaker with some ingredients around it. And kind of like, okay, you got to get in it. You got to put your gloves on. You got to put your goggles on. You got to put your magical robes on, whatever that looks like. And you got to get your hands into it. You got to start ingredient here, ingredient there. What does this happen? Oh, this kind of exploded in my face a little bit. Got it. Next time I'll do this and that. Whatever that may be and that may look like. But you got to get into it. You got to get into it. And so that is how we create new worlds. And each creation and creating new worlds, it's like several layers of it, because I see it as there is a world that wants to be created through you, that you are the center of. You're the sun of this solar system. And this world wants to be created through and around you. Your beliefs, your cosmology, your personality, the way you say things, the way you create, the way you write things, your perspectives, all of that. And it has its own energy to it. And then you have all these little worlds that want to also kind of like emerge from that central space. And it's a very zoomed out way to look at it, but I hope it gives you a sense of the grandness that really exists within you. And what I see time and time again, every time I look at somebody's cosmic blueprint through their astrology chart, it's like a portal opens up. It's like a window. And I can read and see several layers of what might be wanting to come through this person. A lot of my work, I realize more and more profoundly, it's like looking at these sort of picking up, whether you want to call it a timeline or a potential or something that wants to be expressed through that person that is sort of coming up, and I can shine a light on that. But then the person has to move through that and ask for whatever tools they need to actually like get that going. But one of the bottom lines that I've seen time and time again is that the vast amount of potential and power and possibility and depth that lies in each one of us, that goes, for the most part, unexpressed, is mind-blowing. And it makes me feel like, like, what do we have to do to bust out of our own membranes of holding back? And I also go, wow, like, the optimist in me and the Jupiterian in me is like, there is so much here. And I see it every single time with every single person. We are oceans and oceans of potential. We are oceans of possibility. The depth that lies within us and the ability that we have to tap into deeper resources than you could ever calculate with your mind, with your brain, is unfathomable. Our brains are tools for our spirits to do some really cool stuff in this body, in this life. We flipped it around because we've been taught to over prioritize the work of the mind over the work of the heart and the soul and the spirit. And many of us have been on the quest of a spiritual awakening is essentially discovering, oh, my mind is not running the show. There is something else that is at the center, at the epicenter. And the access to that is what this whole idea of committing to walking in magic allows us to do. It is not about a prescription. It is about the permission to expand into these spaces and create from there. And that is inherently scary because you're creating something that is in the realm of the unknown. And that is part of what I hope to do in this space and in the spaces where people interact with me, is to give you a better sense of the potential in you and to let you give yourself permission, like allow you to give yourself the permission to believe in expressing the most authentic parts of you, no matter what age you are, no matter what your situation is in life, no matter how stretched thin you are by the reality of your life. I see that and I honor that. And also I say, okay, that's part of your story. It's not the whole story. It's part of your story. And your soul has chosen whatever it's going through right now to also be part of what creates your authentic expression. It's all connected in some way. So I hope this landed for you. And I'd love to hear what you heard. Before we complete, I'm going to light a candle for us. And by the way, these are intention candles I am creating. If you would like to have one yourself, I'll be happy to create a custom one for you. They come in this beautiful iridescent glass, and it has a wooden wick. So it creates, you hear the little crackle. They're beautiful to set your intention. You just want to receive it clear. And I can also, when you order one, I can charge it with your intention, like activate it with your intention. So you can email me if you want to have access to one of your own, and I'll create one for you. So my intention for us is that we choose to be courageous enough to create these new worlds. I also wanted to share before we complete a list of things that I've been looking through some old journals. And this is from 2018. September 2018. I didn't even realize it was September. I wrote a list that says, what does it feel like to not be your most authentic self? Because being your authentic self sounds like one of those things that's like it's something that we hear so often. It's just like becomes like an autopilot thing, but we're like, but what does that even mean? Great. Okay. Now what? So what does it feel to not express your authentic self? This crimping of the hose that I was talking about earlier. I feel stuck. That nagging feeling that there's something more. I'm in a fog on autopilot. One day blends into the next. I go from highlight to highlight, but the rest is a blur. I can't make decisions. I'm not feeling present and focused. I feel disconnected. I'm not feeling in control. I have the someday syndrome. Someday I'll do this. Someday I'll do that. Someday I'll create that. I've become so intimately aware of how precious life is, the time we have on earth, and how nothing is guaranteed ever. So if not now, when? Create your thing. Give it life. Give yourself a chance to do it, because we don't have a guarantee for the someday ... I feel generally unhappy and I'm not sure why. I know I have more to give. I'm not playing the starring role in my life. I'm playing like the understudy version. I'm not the starring role. I'm sort of the understudy. And the understudy basically waits on the wings. So which one are you feeling and playing right now? I feel lost. Life is okay, but it's not like, life is okay, but it's not like great. And that's also like, we can go so much deeper in that. But at a base level, you're like, yeah, it's good. But you're kind of just going through the motions. And again, you know that there's this like something more that seems to elude you. And then I am living a half life. And I can say that after having walked in my own magical path and continue to walk and lean in and take chances and leap again and leap one more time and have things succeed and have things fail and create things that didn't really go anywhere, and then come back from that and go, okay, where can I shift this time? And create things that were incredible and understand the cycles of how we're playing with bigger cycles than we give ourselves a chance to see. So anything that is happening is all connected in some way. I know you have not missed the boat, the train. You have not missed it. You are exactly in the place where you need to be. But you've got to make the decision to like, okay, like foot on the gas pedal a little bit and go. And whoop, let's try. And so I hope this supports you. If you're looking for more support to work with me, you can sign up for your own astrology reading. You can also sign up for my Patreon group. We have a magical space called Walking in Magic. And I have an upcoming incredible program to help you move through all of these things called the Creatrix Laboratory. Ring a bell? And it is a collection of practical and mystical ways to basically help one of your big dreams come to life. So whatever dream, idea, goal you've been sitting on, let's do it. So that by the time we hit March of 2024, you have something that's in completion. You something tangible that you've actually done the thing. And I encourage, if it's something that speaks to you, to check out the program and book a call with me if you want to chat about it. I'm always around. You can email me. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing your magic. Comment below with whatever inspired you about this video. And please share it. Share it. That would be incredibly supportive for me and the work that I do, and for my family and the love that I have for them. And for all of us that are trying to make something incredible out of life, even when life can be really challenging. So onward with courage and love, and all my love and stardust. I'll see you soon. Mwah. Adios.